Everybody, hello again and welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest in Moving Worlds and the Moving Worlds Institute. We're thrilled to tell you about what is happening with our next institute and to answer any and all questions that you may have. One way that we really like to start all our sessions with the Institute is with the moment of intention setting and mild reflection. So with that, even if this might feel a little strange on your own, is sit back for a moment in your chair, relax, take a deep breath. You can do it. Take a deep breath and just take a pause to reflect, to think ahead 20, 30, 40 years. At a vigil celebrating your life, when people come together to think about you, the work you've accomplished, the good you've bestowed upon others, and the things that you've contributed to this planet, what will they say? What will they remember? And what will the light resembling your spirit, your life, reflect back on the world? And how will it be a beacon for others? You know, in its essence, that's really the Moving Worlds Institute, helping us all contribute to the greater good as we proceed through not only our professional paths, but also our personal ones. And it's really why we started Moving Worlds in the first place over 5 years ago, as a platform to help get expertise to the parts of the world that need it the most. And to do so in a way that also creates a life-transforming experience for the people that invest their own time and energy in experteering. So in this next slide, I'll show you just a few slides that really highlight a bit of the evolution that Moving World has gone through. We started as a platform to make connections at scale. We were featured in very popular global development publications like DevX, Stanford Social Innovation Review, YDev, and others about how experteering is really setting a new standard for best practices in international engagement. We were then approached by corporations, of and including Microsoft, who have built not only capacity building programs, but also leadership development programs on top of our platform. Now, what we realized in doing that is that people weren't just going experteering for the sake of creating impact, but they were also growing in their experience. So we stacked our own team with leadership development advisors and professionals to help create some incredible leadership development programs. These programs are now being used by Fortune 50 companies around the world, and we've contributed as well to conferences, publications, and consulting in order to help impact others. And so what we see in this process, and what we've continued to see in this process, is that when people use experteering, they use it as a way to grow. And so about a year ago, we made a decision to take these incredible leadership programs that we've been creating for companies and open that up to the world at large, to make that available to people maybe not, fortunate enough to be not only at Microsoft, but within a very specific role at Microsoft, that they could go on this type of program. And so we've created the Moving Worlds Institute as really the combination of the best practices that we've created across these different companies, work that we've done with universities, with foundations, and made that available to the open public. And so we're thrilled to tell you more about it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cole, who can share more information and specifics about the program. But really just from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the entire team here in Seattle and in our Medellin, Colombia office, thanks so much for joining us here. Cole, over to you.
Well, first off, just to introduce myself, my name is Cole Hoover, and I have been a social entrepreneur working abroad and also locally here in the US for over a decade. Like Mark and a few others, I've also been a part of a movement of social entrepreneurs working inside universities to try to create coursework, certificates, and programs to train the next generation of social enterprise leaders. And I think from doing this, myself and Mark and others have seen that there's a real need for more programs like the MovingWorlds Institute, with an experiential component, with mentorship, and with all the things that you need to actually organically grow your skills, identify opportunities, and figure out what's going on in the impact field. So thank you again for being here with us. We are so excited to be launching the second cohort of the MovingWorlds Institute after a totally exciting and successful first cohort. So I would love to just give you a little bit more of a feel for what we're doing, kind of chart the structure of the program, hopefully to answer some of your questions, and then also at the end, dig into any other questions that pop up for you. So just to give a feel for what the MovingWorlds Institute is, it's really about three core pieces. It's about education, which is a fluency in social enterprise, just getting your hands around what is the social enterprise and impact investing field. What are these large nebulous movements? What do they really mean to me, to the world, and how do I get engaged? Secondly, is the piece that we find the most important, and that is the experience. We have amazingly experienced people with tons of skills who are coming from all different kinds of sectors with 5 to 15 years of work experience. But the one thing that they're missing, and the one thing that they're really craving as they're trying to translate their existing skills into impact, are experiences in the field of social enterprises. And that's one of the things that MovingWorlds has been an industry leader of for over the past 5 years. And then finally, it's reflection, which you got a little bit of a taste of with the activity that Mark just led. And that's something that we genuinely believe in. We think that anytime that people are doing meaningful work, anytime that they're identifying the needs and assets of communities and trying to find ways to change the world for a better place, that change really starts with themselves and with awareness and with presence. And so those are some of the things that we really weave throughout the MovingWorlds Institute experience. So at its core, the MovingWorlds Institute is a cohort-based experiential program that has structured learning, networking, mentoring, and guided discovery. Throughout the process, we're helping you to develop leadership and innovation abilities while also contributing to the greater good. We hope that not only during the 6 months that you're with us in the MovingWorlds Institute that you're learning, but you're also having an impact with the social enterprise, and you're starting to build your network in the impact field. So to give a little bit of a rundown of some of the things that you get as a MovingWorlds Institute fellow, so I put out some of our learning objectives and some of the kind of stages and deliverables. So first off, from a high level, we're trying to help you to build a global network. Just like the merits of any MBA program, a lot of the things that you get out of it are the people. Whether that's your mentors, whether that's your peers, these are the relationships you build that are going to affect your career for a lifetime. And that's one of the things the MovingWorlds Institute opens up for our fellows. Access to industry leaders, access to mentorship, and access to world-class social enterprises. Another piece of it is about your skills and how you can identify what skills you already have that can translate into having an impact. And the ways that we do that are through different kinds of methodologies like human-centered design thinking, shared value creation, and an identification of what it takes to do cross-cultural leadership. These are some of the really more hard skills and ways of thinking that we try to pass on during the MovingWorlds Institute. And the goal is that those will help to kind of guide your professional aspirations to find a world-positive career. So as a MovingWorlds Institute fellow, some of the things that you will gain during the experience is, first off, an understanding of what 4 impact industries are and what are the forces shaping them. This provides you a fluency where you'll be able to have conversations about what's happening, know the right publications to read, know the right people to connect to, and the right questions to ask. Secondly, it's creating a global network of people who will help you to keep learning and connecting the future opportunities in the impact field. Third, and maybe one of the most important things, is identifying what strengths you already have and how they translate into a social impact experience. one of the core things about Moving Worlds is that it's really been developed kind of as a counter to the kind of volunteering movements that would take someone who is an amazing accountant and send them to Kenya to paint houses. We're trying to maximize your skills, and we're trying to also maximize the impact of your skills on social enterprises around the world. Instead of painting houses, this accountant would then be in Kenya working with cooperatives to get their books in order, helping them to make better financial projections, and helping them to have more financial security. It's all about translating your real skills into a real impact. And that's what we do next. And that's through the process of working with social enterprises, you get to demonstrate your ability to have a positive social impact that not only benefits real people and real organizations, but serves as a talking point as you move forward trying to market yourself in the social impact field. From this, we're hoping that you're gaining confidence and that you're making professional connections that are opening doors within the impact field. And at the end of the day, throughout the process, we apply proven methodologies and time-saving tools that help you to network and take that next step. So all of this is what happens during the 6-month experience. But what it all starts with is a 3-day immersive. So the 6 months are a virtual experience that happens on Slack, happens on webinars, happens on conversations via the phone. But it all kicks off with an in-person 3-day intensive where our cohort is coming together, you're meeting industry leaders, and we're setting goals together for the experience. So just to give a basic rundown of how the whole process starts and how you get introduced to the program. So we start by selecting a cohort of high potential leaders to join the Institute. Last year, for our first cohort, we brought people from 6 different countries and from all different kinds of fields to our 3-day immersive in Seattle, which kicked off the experience. We then work with our fellows to help them identify what are their personal learning goals and what are their professional outcomes that they're trying to get throughout the 6-month experience. We then tailor the experience to them. Third, and one of the things that's really one of Moving Worlds' specialities, is that we match our fellows to a skill-based volunteer project with a social enterprise. Moving Worlds has built one of the most impressive and exhaustive networks of social enterprises around the world who have openings for people like you to come and have an impact and learn with their organization. We then layer on that extra leadership training. So that's finding ways to be more effective in cross-cultural work environments, trying to understand human-centered design skills, trying to get a grasp around shared value mindsets. All of these things, we believe, take your existing skills and elevate them to a level where they're relevant with social enterprises. Throughout the process, we also support you by pairing you with a mentor who, on a monthly basis, gives you personal, timely, and specific feedback, not only on the work you're doing with your social enterprise, but also on your career aspirations and your learning objectives in the field. Throughout the process, you get to engage with your cohort members. This contributes to shared learning and problem solving, which we've seen so much of in our first cohort with daily conversations, sharing amazing resources, sharing inspiring videos, discussing different questions, and also sharing things that they're trying to solve with their social enterprises in the field. And finally, we work with you to take all of this experience that happens throughout the 6-month fellowship and package it into not only something you can pass on to your social enterprise in the field as a great deliverable that they can use in the future, but also resume-ready assets that are developed between you and our Moving Worlds Institute career coaches who help you then take the next step in finding a meaningful, impact-focused career. So that's kind of a little bit of, in general, how the experience breaks down. This is a little bit more of the specifics of what you'll be doing during the experience. So to give you a high level, we break our whole Moving Worlds Institute experience into 3 different stages that are modeled after the human-centered design process. And those are inspiration, ideation, and implementation. So in the first 2 months, in the inspiration phase, this is really all about asking big questions, learning lots of different things, trying new things, and getting a better grasp of what you're looking for, what are the gaps in your knowledge, and what are new skills you want to develop. In ideation, you're starting to harvest, what are you learning from these networking meetings? What are you learning from the social enterprise books you're reading? What are you discovering through engaging with your social enterprise? And what are some of the patterns that are starting to emerge that you can start to make sense of? From that, in the final months, it's implementation. So whether that's taking the patterns you've recognized with your social enterprise and starting to apply them into a project that's going to benefit them and their communities, or whether that's harvesting all you've learned about yourself throughout the process and working with our career coaches to create some resume-ready assets. The implementation phase is about harvesting everything that happened and packaging it into something you can use moving forward. And so the way that we make that all happen are through weekly and really more like daily conversations on Slack, which is our online conversation community. Secondly, it's through a speaker series where we're bringing amazing industry leaders who are social entrepreneurs, people working at foundations, people working with job recruitment firms, who are helping you to make sense of this whole experience and share exciting updates from the field. Third, it's support from your mentors, who are people like these industry leaders that, again, help to give you timely personal feedback throughout the experience. Then the fourth piece is one of the most important, and these are your expertise projects. These are your placements with social enterprises in the field. We help you to plan, to do the experience, and also to reintegrate afterwards. And these experiences are designed for you, people who have a variety of career experiences, who have a varying degree of flexibility. And so these can happen anywhere between 2 and 20 weeks. We found a huge variety between what fellows are looking for in our first cohort, and we designed our program to meet their needs with placements that can run the gambit of anything within that time range. And so the way that this all translates into building your portfolio is through supporting you via your mentor and setting great goals throughout the 6 months around what you're trying to accomplish. We also help you to build some rigor into your outreach process, so you're doing better networking and you're tracking it and making sense of what you're finding. This all culminates into a capstone project, which is something that you're passing on to your social enterprise, and then also you're working with your MovingWorlds Institute career coach to take and morph into career next steps. And so just to put a little bit more of a human face on what this experience looks like, this is a picture of our first cohort at the end of their 3-day intensive in Seattle. And I wanted to just read a little bit, some snippets of something that one of our fellows, Heather, shared. And I think that one of the reasons we share this is that Heather's experience, we find, resonates with so many of the people who ended up in our fellowship and also so many of those who applied. And so this is what Heather said. I've been on a big self-reflection journey for about 2 years now. I've had a few coaches, invested in numerous books, blogs, and podcasts around connecting with my passion. And I've had long discussions with my husband, friends, and family about the why behind life and how we can leave behind more than what we've taken over our lifetime. So far, it has been a lot of talking and researching and not a lot of doing anything. It came to a head a few months ago where I couldn't simply talk or research anymore. I actually needed to get off my butt and do something. So when you're at this inflection point, what do you actually do? Do you quit your job and join a nonprofit? Do you go back to school? Do you move to Africa? Do you continue in your job and volunteer a few hours a week? I was really struggling with this question of what the hell is my next step? And that's when I stumbled across a post from MovingWorlds in November, where they laid out their thesis on a new kind of fellowship. One where you be put into a cohort of people in this exact same scenario I was in and pushed into the deep pool of the social impact industry. I got a wild hair, and within minutes of reading the article, I applied. So this is a little bit of a feel of what Heather had experienced at the 4-day experience in Seattle. So for the past 4 days, I've been in Seattle with incredible people from around the world who've been struggling with the same questions and issues I have been. I felt like a fish out of water, surrounded by people like Mirna from Italy, who works from the UN, like Regula from Switzerland, who has spent years building homes in the Philippines, or like Christy from Kentucky, who is researching spinal cord industries. However, it was such a rare and precious gift to work deeply with a group of people with experience that didn't exactly mirror my own. Needless to say, I learned a lot from them, but also realized we are all just people at the end of the day, and life is too short for ego or fear. I also learned that I have a lot to learn in dealing with difficult situations that impact people's livelihoods. It will be an incredible challenge to get my brain out of its typical patterns of dealing with problems and conflict and I know I'll be much better for it. So from this, after talking to Heather and many other fellows, we started to realize that there was something deep that was happening. Not only were they recognizing they weren't alone in this journey, they were also realizing that they had quite a lot of skills to offer, but they also didn't understand, what this nebulous social impact field was. So from just getting some basic understanding of what was happening and how they could use their skills, the confidence started growing. The identification of who they are and what they could contribute started to really increase. And that's one of the things that we're really proud of with the MovingWorlds Institute. So moving from the more qualitative to the kind of more universal benefits that we've been finding with the MovingWorlds experience, here are some of the things that are some of the expected benefits. And so first off, it's about gaining experience, gaining valuable experience tackling real issues from the inside of some of the world's most innovative social enterprises. Secondly, and like I mentioned before, it's about translating your existing skills into high-impact program design, whether that's creating a new project with a social enterprise, whether that's dreaming into what could be possible, or finding ways to orient yourself towards solving a problem. And, secondly, it's about targeted leadership skills. And I'll turn this over to Mark because over the years, MovingWorlds has done some amazing work with corporations all across the world to actually find ways to meet some of their own internal leadership objectives through the kind of new experiences that we've been fostering at MovingWorlds.
Great, thanks, Cole. So to just hit on these and just kind of briefly touch on some highlights here, in having supported nearly 500 expertarian projects around the world, many which build on these additional leadership development components that we use here in the MovingWorlds Institute, which is based on a transformative learning methodology. What we track are these kind of higher level buckets. So like, are people growing as leaders? Are people collaborating better? As you can see on the left side here. But then we drill into each of those, right? To get into things like developing targeted leadership skills. Like, are people becoming more confident? Are they better at problem solving? Are they better at delivering results through others? And we're looking forward and tracking that. And almost every participant attributes that this experience is helping them develop in these skill sets. Collaboration is almost a no-brainer, but what we're thrilled to see is that everybody also recognizes that experiences like this help them collaborate better. And that's because you're working in diverse environments with diverse teams, learning about different industries and sectors and doing things. And we also, because we build in a lot of self-reflection and assessments as part of this program, you learn more about yourself in this process as well. And we see every participant that's ever come through our programming improve their ability to work across diverse team members. And part of that is because of this bump in self-awareness abilities as well. And then at the end of the day, experteering helps you stand out. So in addition to the programs that we run, we've also done research and interviews with hiring managers, with career coaches, and with recruiters to understand, do people actually look at skills-based volunteering like experteering or continuing education programs like the Institute as something that sets people out on resumes? And what we hear time and time again is that absolutely. But like everything, there's a right and wrong way to do it. And so we spend time in the Institute making sure that you're talking about this experience the right way on your resume, as well as your previous experiences as well. But the reason why is when people see somebody that has taken initiative like this to go on something, as different, as new, as exciting, as challenging, as difficult as an experteering project, it signals to people that this is someone that can take initiative, that can operate in ambiguity, and that cares about more than just themselves. And that's something that increasingly people are looking to hire for. So all in all, in almost all categories, and this is just the impact to the experteer themselves, but including the impact on our hosting organizations, we see experteering really continuing to exceed our own goals and expectations for impact to all parties. So Cole, with that, I'll kick it back to you.
Sweet. Thank you so much, Mark. And it's really been an interesting thing that all of these benefits are things that can be realized both at the individual level, but also in some of these massive multinational corporations. And I think that that's one of the things that has attracted some of the amazing mentors and partners that we have with the MovingWorlds Institute. Companies are realizing that the employees of today and tomorrow are demanding something different. And they're starting to see that programs like the MovingWorlds Institute are part of the future of education. And so we don't have time to go through and list off all of these amazing leaders and their impressive titles, but go and do a little bit of homework. Go take a look at our website, mwi.movingworlds.org, and look through some of the people who are the mentors that you will have access to throughout the MovingWorlds Institute Fellowship. Some of the people that you'll be able to have monthly conversations with or connect with on a industry leader webinar. I think you'll be pretty excited to see not only who some of these people are, but more than anything, kind of the diversity of the perspectives they're bringing. And so talking a little bit more about what this looks like for you to participate as a fellow, we just brought up some of the examples of what it looks like to go out and do an expertise experience with a social enterprise in the field, what your social impact placements look like. And so these are some of the kind of profiles with some real stories of people who've been doing expertise with us. So one way is it can look like consulting. An example of that is Jamie, a past expertise whose placement with Sistema Bay in South America gave her experience to later launch a consulting career where she now works with clients like Gates Foundation and PATH. So again, these are examples of not only what the activities that you're working on look like, but also what they can lead to. So secondly, it can look like project-based work. Deanna used her vacation to expertise with an indigenous craft-making co-op to develop its digital branding as well as an online store, spending 2 weeks in the field and then supporting the social enterprise virtually. So she was using some of her branding awareness, some of her marketing skills directly to fill a need that this organization had. Third, it can look like training and coaching. Jason helped to upskill the team of a fair trade, environmentally sustainable coffee exporting group in Colombia. In addition to offering marketing support, he helped to train the team on best practices and tools to be more efficient in the long term. Jason used this experience to then develop out his own training and coaching practice for social enterprises around the world. And fourth, it can look like really just being embedded as a core team member. Nicole joined a digital money transfer enterprise in Brazil to support international partnership building, empowering Brazilians to accept transfers from international businesses. And then the startup went on to grow 10 times in size over the next year. So not only are these placements a real benefit to you and what you get to learn and experience, but we found so many cases where it actually leads to direct impact and an acceleration of the growth of the social enterprise itself. So to give you a feel for who are some of the people that we have joining us, one of the questions is, where are the people coming from? What types of organizations? And as you can see, we have a large amount of people who are coming from large international corporations and organizations, people who are working in really high levels in their field, and they're looking for something different. But we're also having people coming from startups, medium-sized enterprises, and some people who are coming as independents. And why are they joining? This is one of the things that we've been most interested about throughout the process. So whereas the majority of our fellows are coming because they want to make a career change, 43% of them to be exact, it doesn't always mean the same thing. Some people are looking to actually jump into a new sector. Some people are looking to change within their own company. Some people love the work they're doing at their company, but they want it to be more focused on impact. And so they work with the MovingWorlds Institute to not only gain skills and a network, but also mentorship on how to, within their companies, to affect greater change. Finally, what level are these people? So we'd said that these are mostly folks of 5 to 15 years of career experience, but just to give you a little bit of rundown of who some of these people are, these are directors, these are executives, these are individual contributors, mid-level managers, people who have done some amazing things and have built a fantastic resume and are looking for what's next. But at the same time, don't think that if you're not a director that you can't make it into the Moving Worlds Institute Fellowship. The Moving Worlds Institute is really in a lot of ways strengthened by its diversity, and that's diversity in all kinds of ways. So we are looking for amazing people who are looking to make a transition and also something to contribute. And finally, what sectors are represented? So although in our first cohort, we had about 65% of people coming from the for-profit field to make a transition towards more impact, we also have educators. We have people working in government. We have investors. We have not-for-profits. And we think that all of this comes together to build a really amazing and dynamic experience that will give you diversity that you wouldn't get if you were just in a maybe more traditional MBA cohort. So we hope that this gives you a feel for kind of the composition and structure of what we're offering. And now we'll just dive into some of the more kind of tangible and next steps items. So what it looks like to join the Moving Worlds Institute from a pricing perspective. We offer the Moving Worlds Institute 6-month experience with everything that we described leading up to this slide for a tuition of $4,790 per person. This also includes the 3 days of costs, meals and lodging for the 3-day immersives that are taking place this summer in both Seattle and in Singapore. The one thing that this does not include is the travel to go and get to your social enterprise. So if you have any other questions about the pricing or what it includes, what it does not include, you can reach out to me, contact anyone on our team. And also if you are part of a company or an organization who has a group that would like to get engaged, also reach out and the Moving Worlds Institute can customize for your cohort. So some of the next steps, and we're really already in the first one, our applications opened up last week and they are going to be open until March 31st. So please, if you have any questions, call us or reach out soon and ask anything so you can get your applications in as soon as possible. After a review period, our fellows are then announced starting on a rolling basis on April 5th and going all the way through April 20th. Then if you're accepted, you get more and more information leading up to your in-person kickoff dates. And so from the first fellowship, we got a ton of interest from India and Australia and China and all over Asia. And so we opened up another in-person immersive in Singapore. So our first kickoff is going to be happening in Seattle, June 2nd through 5th, and secondly in Singapore, June 16th through 19th. And again, this is the opportunity where you come together with your cohort in person to start building a relationship before you go out into the world and start your experience. After the 3-day immersive, we start creating your field placements. And again, these are set on your schedule, and they're at least 3 weeks long, but they can be up to 20 weeks working with a social enterprise in the field, and they're taking place likely between July and November of this year. After all that, our program culminates with your individual coaching sessions that help you to take your next steps and a virtual send-off on December 15th. December 2015, 2017. So that's a little bit of a rundown of the Moving Worlds Institute. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that's quite a bit of information. That's why we've recorded it so you can digest it later. And that's why we're also opening it up for questions right now. So Mark, if you could bring up any questions that any of our participants are having right now, we'd be happy to answer them and hopefully dig into anything that's really up for you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Cole. So actually the chat box, the Q&A box is pretty quiet right now. So waiting for first questions to come in. Also looking across on Facebook and email for those. So as Cole said, if you have any questions on the program, chances are other people as well. So question, Cole, from, or first question here. So if we're in the US, do we have to go to the Seattle kickoff? And indeed, there's another question, maybe with just a little bit more clarification about the 2 kickoff cities.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the way that this is structured, at the end of the day, the amount of individuals who are going to be a part of the Moving World experience is partially dependent on applications. But really what this is about is you coming together with the 14 to 20 individuals who are accepted in your class, whether that's the Singapore placement or whether that's in Seattle. And this is, again, the one time that you get to come together. You get to meet guest speakers, you get to connect with the Moving Worlds team as a way to launch the whole experience. And from these relationships and from this foundation, you're actually starting to build out the experiences that you're going to have online with this class of people that you've met in person.
Great. Thanks, Cole.
And happy to answer any other specific questions about the 3-day immersives offline, or if they have any others that pop up. But feel free to reach out to us via email or phone.
Okay, another question here. How do you encourage robust relationships between mentors and mentees?
Great question. So we have been so blessed that a lot of the people who come and work with us as mentors are not only industry leaders, but they are people who also identify themselves as innovators in creating better educational programs for the leaders of tomorrow in the impact field. So these are folks who have chosen to be with us. They are ones who, although they have extremely busy schedules, they want to connect with you. And another way that we make the whole process a little bit more frictionless and a little bit more high impact is that we build a lot of systems that you use to track your process, track your goals, and then protocols for how to connect with your mentors. So when you have time with them in these kind of precious windows, you can really maximize it. So I think to answer your question, the way that we make it happen is selecting mentors who really want to be a part of the Moving Worlds Institute because they believe in it. Secondly, we create realistic expectations around how much time they're going to be spending with you, and therefore they feel like they can definitely give of themselves during those small time windows to kind of optimize for how they can support you. It's really about the preparation.
Thanks, Cole, for that. And one thing I'll add on to that is, in addition to your mentor, throughout the entire process, your experteering match, your in-country placement, your mentor relationship, the central Moving Worlds Institute program team is touching base with you weekly to see, how is that mentor relationship going? If you have questions, if anything's going on, we're here to make sure that everybody's going through a program at a pace that's good for them. It's as a result, it's flexible around you, but we make sure that your projects, we're here to make sure that the project works out well, the mentoring relationship works out well, your networking, all these things are going to plan. Thanks for that question. That's a good one. And we know that oftentimes mentor-mentee relationships don't always come to full fruition. And that's something that we care very deeply about because we believe its impact is really supportive for the outcomes of this program. Great. So Cole, I'm doing a final screen for questions across Facebook and email. And I think that leaves us without any questions. So that means, Cole, you did a great job because you set a new record here for least amount of we got one. Is this program appropriate for those thinking about founding a social venture?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So I'll chime in really quickly, and I'd love to hear your perspective too, Mark. But we actually, in our first cohort, had an individual who has been, an Aspen First Movers Fellow, someone who has launched her own social enterprises around the world. And we were so amazed by even someone like this who has a lot of experience, how much not only she was able to contribute, but also how much she was able to learn and to frame kind of her role as a change maker in larger movements for change. So I think that absolutely, yes, this is not just for people who are trying to transition into some kind of contributing role in a social enterprise or an impact related role, but also someone who wants to identify what it takes to be the leader of a social enterprise. Not only are Mark and myself people who have launched our own social enterprises, but we also bring on in our industry leader webinars people who are doing it right now. So yeah, absolutely, it's a fantastic opportunity for people who are trying to take that next step.
Yeah. And, to speak to members that are in our current cohort, diversity is something that we screen for in the application, and that means things like career diversity and career goal diversity as well. And so we have people that are using the current cohort right now as in a way to start their own social impact consulting organization, to go join a small social enterprise, to start one, to start a side impact project, to create a more socially focused role within their Fortune 500 company. And so what we do with everybody is we say, if that's your goal, what are the gaps? What skills do you need to learn? Okay, here's extra content resources for you. What experience do you need? Oh, you want to go start a social venture? Let's make sure that you get to go expertise with a social venture that relates to either the industry or the impact method or the funding method or other that relates to it. Let's give you a mentor who's helped either grow his or her own or has developed or helped fund or mentors or advises them. So if you have your own goals, everybody will have a mentor, everybody will have curriculum, everybody will have all these steps, but we will work with you one-on-one to make sure that you're getting the connections that you need so that you're learning the way that you want to learn. So we have another question of, is this program appropriate for someone wanting to make an impact in health policy? Cole, if you want, I can actually just caught up with one of our cohort members, and we actually have one of our current cohort members who's a director at a medical institution right now, or medical device institution, and is moving more into exactly this, into health policy. And so her project, her mentor are all being taped or all being customized as a way to help support this. So yes, if you're trying to go into impact in the government, into education, into independent, into social enterprise, into foundation, then you are, there are people like you who are walking similar steps, and we believe that the impact careers can happen in any sector, and we want to make sure that you end up in an impact career that makes you come alive. Okay, great questions here. So, okay, now I'm doing a final skim. Of course, if more come, you can email us at any time at mwi@movingworlds.org. But Cole, otherwise, I think we're out of questions, and you can close us out.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. And thank you all so much for being here and those amazing questions. I think that what you're tapping into are some of the big questions, some of the feelings that a lot of the people who have applied for the Institute and also those who've been going through it have. So at the end of the day, one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is building a community and a safe place to try to explore some of these ideas together. So again, thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to be building out this program with you. We think that it represents what the future of education could look like for at least parts of the impact-related field. We need more people like you who are looking to make this transition, and we need more institutions that are supporting you and building your capacity to make it happen. So thank you for bringing your skills, thank you for bringing your passion, and thank you for setting an intention around what's possible. So please reach out if you have any other questions for us. We are available at all times, and we will get someone from our staff to hop on a call with you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you, everybody.